Yo, we getting in here. I ain't bringing Kenny in yet because he's on the phone. Kenny handling business. Kenny handling business, if you will.
Sacramento Bee, making sure my subscription is still good.
They was all over you.
I don't know why people are so upset about that.
Nobody was upset.
Bothered. I couldn't believe it. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know what more people should get the paper.
Whether more
the people, physical paper.
We do. I don't get that. Like your fingers get dirty is nasty.
No, they made it, right? You know, our ancestors, they lived to be 100.
You want to talk about other things that our ancestors did? Like, come on, man. Like, what are you talking about? Ancestors sitting around reading a newspaper. They was reading it off of like a stone scroll or something like that. And Kenny Caraway out here with nasty newspaper.
Support your newspaper.
Oh, I agree with that.
I love the physical newspaper, especially on the weekend.
Yeah, just hang out.
Get my iPad.
That's it. Got the Chase Lounge. Got my iPad here with me, man. I'm golden. I'm golden, man. Let's get this done. Ramsey, I got to figure out how to make you like a moderator, like a boss or something. Like you are all over these.
Look at Ramsey. He old school like myself. He likes the physical paper too.
He's just saying that so you don't. I mean, Ramsey. I think Ramsey's older than you. Ramsey has a right to. What's the cutoff age for the new? Apparently, the cutoff age is 37. that's the age right there where it's like
That's when you don't give a damn about the newspaper anymore. The physical newspaper.
Yeah, that's it. All right, folks.
I will be getting my newspaper tomorrow morning.
I'm sure you will. All 2 sections of it.
I know, right? That bugged me out. I was like, this is it? This is it?
I can just imagine you being at the house hella hot because there's only because this newspaper's too small.
It didn't even bother me. It was just kind of it perplexed me. I was like, wow, that's what the paper is nowadays, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I hadn't got the physical paper since I don't know, in 20 years. So I'm used to a regular paper. No, not no more.
And you've been shamed for it. You've been shamed for that regular paper. Oh, man. Let's go. 30 seconds. What's good, Lazy?
Lazy, what's popping, big dog?
Y'all cool.
Max, what's good?
Just spoiler alert, you're going to hear some of the same stuff you heard earlier. Extra. Dealing with KC are back. Yes, indeed it does. As the Sacramento Kings look to avoid a season-long 5-game losing streak, they take on the Miami Heat tonight. Welcome into Courtside with Dealing with KC. I'm Damian Barling. He's Kenny Caraway. We appreciate you so much for allowing us to be a part of your Sacramento Kings pregame coverage. Of course, we're live on the radio.com app, live on ESPN 1320 AM, and we are live. You can watch the show. It's riveting on twitch.tv/ESPN 1320, or you could search out the ESPN 1320 YouTube channel. Either way, we are thrilled to be a part of your Sacramento Kings coverage. As you are all very well aware, no Harrison Barnes tonight, KC, no Richaun Holmes, and Luke Walton announced just a few moments ago that that Marvin Bagley will start.
Okay.
But he is on a minutes restriction tonight. Didn't clarify the number of minutes. But he is on a minutes restriction tonight.
Okay.
When it rains, it pours, man. That's just how it is, baby. That's just how it is.
Well, what did he play last game? Let me see. What did he play? Because I know he was on a minutes restriction last game. So let me see. Let me pull that up real quick. See see exactly how much he played. I want to say he probably played about 25 minutes.
Sounds right. And he actually played really well against Brooklyn. Now, I've been prefacing
21, 19 points in 21 minutes for Marvin Bagley.
So I wonder what the number is tonight, and Luke didn't specify. It was the final question of the night. He was it was the final question of the pregame session, I should say. So he kind of answered that question, said he is going to play, he is going to start, but he is going to be on a minutes restriction. There was no follow-up about what the minute restriction is, but you could probably glean from that last game, if it was 21 minutes, against Brooklyn, it's probably going to be somewhere in the vicinity of that. I wouldn't imagine it's much more than 25, but this is an all hands on deck situation. So, Marvin Bagley minutes restriction. I know, Marvin was a guy that you and I were talking about. We need to see somebody step up. Who's going to step up for the Sacramento Kings tonight? Marvin's going to have to make the most of the minutes he has, KC, but someone, whether it's someone we're not expecting or someone we haven't seen yet, or where Buddy just gets in a groove that we haven't seen yet this season, somebody is going to have to step up for this team.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, I said earlier on D-Lo and KC this afternoon that I wanted to see Marvin Bagley step up and really show out here in the absence of Richaun Holmes and Harrison Barnes, but there's only so much he could do on a minutes restriction. There's only so much he can do if he's getting a maximum of 25 minutes. Yeah. So I look for him to play well. Well, that's not enough to turn a game around. I then point my attention to, like you just mentioned, Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield, I need you to have one of your games of the season tonight if this team's going to win. You have to. Simple as that. You got to knock down your three ball. You got to do all the other stuff that you started to do as far as defending, playmaking a little bit. You got to bring it all, and you got to score. We can't have no 6 of 20. It's 5 of 18 from 3-point line. Can't have that.
So there's some difficulties that we're going to have to talk about with your strategy, and it's a sound strategy in verbal form, but in execution form, it could be completely different. Want to mention, you'll hear part of our conversation that we had with Deuce and Mo, the Deuce and Mo podcast. They do first thoughts immediately following games, and they also do a night chat over here on YouTube as well. If you want to take part in that, they do it wins or losses, so you can check that out. They do it after every single game. You'll hear the part of our conversation with Deuce and Mo coming up here in just a few minutes. We'll give you the line from BetQL as well. This is an interesting one. Now, the last time we did Courtside was Friday night when we found out we were losing De'Aaron Fox, and I think that was Marvin Bagley that night as well. Yep. The line kept shifting throughout the show. I think it shifted. I think the over-under dropped by 2.5 during the hour. The spread dropped by 2 points. So we'll keep an eye on it, but we have it for you here today. It's an interesting one. It's certainly one that favors the Kings, so we'll bring that to you. And then I mentioned Luke Walton a moment ago. You'll hear what he had to say as we get you ready for the Sacramento Kings and the Miami Heat. So I like your plan. You've got to come out here. You got to hit shots. You got to be able to execute. The one difficulty, there's a plus and a minus here. The plus is the Miami Heat probably aren't going to score a ton of points. They're not like a high-octane offense.
Right.
They played last night against the Golden State Warriors. They were taken to overtime. However, this is a really, really good defensive team, and they're going to fluster everything the Sacramento Kings are going to try to do. Now, Richaun Holmes isn't around. Marvin Bagley's on a minute restriction. Harrison Barnes isn't going to be around. So keying on a Buddy Hield, it's not going to be that difficult for the Miami Heat tonight.
No, it's not. I mean, but this is why he gets paid the big bucks. Yeah. I'm sure they keyed in on, and relax, I'm not going to Vivek on this. I'm not calling him Steph Curry, but I'm sure that he keyed in on Steph Curry last night, and he found a way to get off of that and make some big shots in the fourth quarter. And any other big time ball player in this league.
But Steph didn't really shoot well yesterday, though. He got hot when it mattered, though. So your point is taken. But through the course of the game, he didn't shoot well. We know Buddy's capable of shooting like hell, getting to the fourth quarter, knocking down one, knocking down two, and I mean, this is a game. These two teams have played. They played in South Beach already. The Miami Heat. It was a thriller, 105-104. This is when the Kings were playing really good ball at the time. I think it was their lone loss in a stretch of 8 games. It feels like a distant memory, by the way. Remembering when the Kings were on a 4-game winning streak, playing pretty well.
What the good old days.
Woo, I'm old enough, child, to remember when. It feels so long ago. It was a week ago. I mean, they had a loss that you and I didn't sweat one single bit. The Philadelphia 76ers, they were the top team in the Eastern Conference at the time. I think they're still the top team in the Eastern Conference now. It wasn't something we were even remotely concerned about. It was like, hey, they played well, they fought, they did their thing. And then headed into that game on Friday against the Orlando Magic, we spent the entire, afternoon show, the 12-2 show, expressing a little bit of, man, this is a team that we've seen this before. We've seen this act. We know how it goes. We need to see them go out there and perform against Orlando and go out there and perform against Memphis. And by the time the Courtside show rolled around heading into the game, we were both nervous. We're like, this just feels like the most Kings thing ever to have an Orlando Magic team. And I know we've spent some time, Casey, talking about the injuries to the Sacramento Kings. Orlando they were worse off than the Kings were that night. And it's like we felt it coming. And then they just got hit in the face by Orlando. They got kicked in the groin by Memphis. And by that point, I don't think they stood a chance against Brooklyn. And all of a sudden, after a 4-game winning streak, you've got a 4-game losing streak, and you're going to have to break it today shorthanded, hopefully.
You got to dig down deep. Somebody's got to step up, whether it's Buddy Hield, Tyrese Halliburton, Fox going off even more than he did last time when he played Miami. Bielitsa getting in there, Daquan finding his legs and playing. But somebody's got to step up, or a group of guys have to step up collectively. We're playing a Miami Heat team tonight. Well, not we, but the Kings are playing a Miami Heat team.
We're playing. Tonight. We in. In fact, Luke might need us. Luke might need us. He might need everyone in the chat. He might need everybody watching on Twitch and YouTube. Like he's going to need some bodies.
After we finish Courtside, while I watch the Kings game, I'm gonna do a little Peloton work, which means right now I have workout clothes. So if Luke hit me up like, yo, we need you. I don't even need to get dressed, really. I just get hop in the car, be down there. I'll finish the rest of the show with you on the phone, and then we'll right when the show's off, I'll go on to the layup line.
Pick up your 6 fouls and be on your way, because they're going to need them with Bam Adebayo out there. It feels like they're going to have probably going to see some Hassan Whiteside tonight. And I don't mean like 10, 15 minutes from Hassan Whiteside. I'm talking we're going to see some Hassan Whiteside tonight.
Baby. He's playing tonight. He's in that rotation.
He's going 47 minutes tonight. And it'll be, that'll be an interesting thing to watch, because, they've got Bam Adebayo there, who's the guy you got to watch. There's a number of offensive things over there. Jimmy Butler, his first game back was against the Sacramento Kings. He got to the foul line more times than the Kings did. As a matter of fact, he made more free throws than the Sacramento Kings did as a team the first time these two teams played. And that is one thing. And I know James Harden gets a lot of attention for it. Part of the reason for that is because of the way that he gets there. But Jimmy Butler gets to the foul line, man. Yeah. And if you're not smart with the way that you defend him, he will live at the foul line and he will make you pay. We mentioned he had 30 points the first time these two teams played. 14 of them were at the foul line.
Yeah, you got to watch out for Jimmy Butler. And especially tonight, when you have a situation where you don't have a Harrison Barnes, who is really the only guy that could match up with Jimmy Butler. He's not there. So you gotta watch out. You got to watch out for what Jimmy might be doing tonight. You got Glenn Robinson III. You got probably Daquan.
Yeah.
You got it gets thin after that. It gets real thin. You might have to throw Buddy on him a couple of times.
I honestly think we'd be great coaches. We just get everybody together before tip and say, guys, watch out for Jimmy Butler. I mean, because you've got to like keep Jimmy out of the paint, keep him, from getting free, because if he gets free, he's going to be able to draw a foul. And that's got to be, I think defending James Harden is one of the more difficult things to do in the league, just because of his caginess, to use a kind word when I'd rather use a different one. But the truth is, I mean, Jimmy Butler's the same way. He is one of the most difficult guys in the entire league to defend, simply because he's smart. He's cagey. Like, he knows how to get contact. And if his shot's not falling, he's going to get to the line and he's going to find some way to get points for his team.
And he's also tougher than a $2 steak. So he's not going to shy away from that contact. He's going to not only not shy away from it, he's going to embrace the contact. He's going to look, and it's not, when you talk about, Harden, it's not that type of contact where I stick my arm straight out and put it up and your arm, that it's not that. Jimmy putting that shoulder in your chest.
Yeah.
Jimmy's like, oh, I'm going to the line, or I'm going to the lane. Boom, take this little bump. You bump me, I'm strong enough to take that and get that and one. So he seeks out the contact in just a physical way. It's not just James Harden, I'm trying to get fouled. I embrace it. I love it. That's what Jimmy says.
You ever had a $2 steak? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, I don't need an explanation. I was fully expecting the answer to be no.
It was either $2 or $4. I can't remember.
It really no difference.
Las Vegas, baby.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Las Vegas,
yes,
baby.
That explains
about 4 a.m., baby.
You know who's not tougher than a $2 steak, and that is your collective Sacramento Kings. And we saw that on full display, much to the frustration of many people, including Kenny and myself, in that game against the Memphis Grizzlies when Valanciunas threw Metu off of the rim, shattering Metu's wrist and taking him out the game for the next 4 weeks. And now questions have kind of arose like, yo, nobody stepped up. Nobody had something to say. Like Kenny wanted to see some hands being thrown. AC, we got nothing out of that. And Luke addressed that a lot in practice yesterday, but ultimately we got nothing out of that from the Kings.
I mean, right now they're back to being labeled as a soft team. And that upsets me, because when I lifted the ban of them being a soft team, I thought I was done with that. I was like, they're going to lose games. They're not perfect. You know, they may be up and down in their play, but they're not going to just get punked no more. Those days are over. That's what I felt. Yeah. But here we are about 2 weeks later. Actually, I think it's only been about a week since I took the ban off, and they got it back. They earned it back. They earned it by being soft on the floor, being soft in a confrontational sense, and in my opinion, being soft mentally. And they've got to find a way to get back to the mental and physical toughness that they exhibited when they won 7 out of 9 games.
We talked with Deuce and Mo today on D-Lo and KC, which airs beginning Monday from 12 to 4. If you're not familiar with us, we hope that you will check us out. And, we started the conversation with, what is your opinion on the situation with Metu and the Kings' lack of response?
Look, man, and of course, guys can't leave the bench because you'll get suspended automatically. But the guys on the floor, I think Bielitsa was out there, Corey Joseph, who else was out there?
Glenn Robinson.
Yeah, Glenn Robinson. They came and played peacemaker, but go ahead and get in his face a little bit. And the only guy that showed emotion after was Metu. He came up and he was clapping. He was like, okay, let's go. And I think that's part of the problem with the Kings right now is who's their guy? Who's their guy that's going to get a little nasty? And I think Metu might be one of the only ones.
Yeah, and I was curious too, and I don't want this to be an excuse. I was curious who saw it that was actually in the game. Because I think some people thought, oh, well, Metu, was hanging on there long, which if you watch it over and over again, it's not like that. It's like Valanciunas did the wrong thing. He tossed him to the damn ground. And the only person that actually got up off the bench to go chase after Metu really quick to help him up was Halliburton. But then he retreated, I think, because he realized in his mind, oh, wait, I can't go any further or otherwise I'm going to get suspended.
Yeah, somebody got to hit the ground when they play Memphis again. Somebody got to hit the ground.
What's that going to do? You're probably going to get tossed automatically. I mean,
whatever.
Go play hard, set a nice screen on them.
Throw, I don't know, Jabari out there to do the dirty work.
Come on.
You want a goon?
You're playing all year. Get your ass in there and throw him to the ground. Get tossed, get fined. All right, take one for the team. Are you kidding?
I know what they do. Sign Kenny to a 10-day. Have Kenny go out there when they take on Memphis, and then you get thrown out. Boom, there you go.
Sure.
Casey will take
it. Do it. You can't just have guys getting thrown off the rim. No. You're like, oh, well, what can we do now? We don't want to get suspended, and it's been a month, so we just kind of let things happen. No, have the memory of an elephant. Have the memory of an elephant. Somebody's hitting the ground. John Valanciunas, Kyle Anderson, I don't care. Somebody needs to hit the ground for that.
Because, Kenny, that's the thing. We can't having guys get injured. That's the reality. The fact, look at the Metu situation. He's on a 2-way contract, fractured his wrist, and this is a guy who's trying to fight to make it in the NBA. We don't need guys getting injured. But yeah, I go back to that playoff game, Kings Jazz, 98-99, when Chris Webber laid out a nasty screen on John Stockton.
That's what I'm saying.
That's cool. I don't need guys getting thrown.
They don't have to be in the air. Somebody comes through the lane, they catch that forearm shiver, and okay, you get a technical, whatever. It's done. We already took care of it. It's good. But you can't just, that's the problem now. They're like, it's already happened. So what are we gonna do? Everybody in the league gonna do it to you.
Yeah, I don't
Then respond the next time.
In that you guys, but also I've been laid out many times while playing. I was a very much hated player, and for obvious reasons. Yeah. And there were times where people reacted on the team, and then there was times people didn't. I think because sometimes they didn't understand what had just happened to the fullest because everyone else is doing their own thing. So I think with that situation, maybe they didn't really understand everything that happened unless you were on the bench and you saw it with your own eyes right then and there. You weren't concentrating on anything else. But maybe, too, there is a little bit of a disconnect where this team does need to get a little bit more nasty and just needs a little bit more fire.
You can't let teams punk you, and the Kings have gone punked many times this year. And that Valanciunas play I don't understand, number one, how he didn't get tossed from the game. I'm watching, I'm like, how do you watch that replay? You go review and go, okay, that's a common foul. It's keep playing on. And then the league doesn't do anything with it. There's no fine. There's no suspension. No. It's terrible.
What's changed so much? Is it as simple for the Kings? Is it as obviously we know for Kenny it's age, but for the Kings, is it just as simple as injuries?
I think that it definitely hurt their momentum when Fox has that contusion and can't play. It hurts, but that can't be an excuse when you're taking on Orlando. Orlando's shorthanded coming off a back-to-back, and they punked you. Yeah. And then your response is taking on Memphis, and they punked you like we just talked about. It's unfortunate. So I don't know what it is. I don't know why they're not able to step it up and at least compete against those teams. It's one thing to lose to a good team. It's a good team that's just better than you. Sixers. Yeah, but they played well against the Sixers. Yes. And we talked about this on our podcast. If you play like you did against the Sixers, I think you have good chances to beat Orlando and Memphis. Hell, we talked about last week on your guys' show. It's this is a huge test for Sacramento. How are they going to handle the next 3 games? Orlando, Memphis, and Brooklyn. And they failed. There's no other way to put it. And I do think the Harrison Barnes thing, I knew something was off with him. He just wasn't playing well. And that's the big number that I was looking at. In the Kings wins, he's averaging 20 points a game. In losses, he's at 12. And the last few games, you could tell he wasn't right. His shots were short. He wasn't as aggressive taking it to the hole. He wasn't finishing around the rim. And then we find out he strained his foot.
Yeah. And you ask what's changed. It's you're all of a sudden not seeing that defensive effort, right? And I don't know if it's just like Deuce was saying, because they started dealing with the adversity of not having their best player on the floor, but that shouldn't be an excuse no matter what. It's you gotta step up and play. And I know, again, someone like Barnes, he's a little bit injured. So, hey, if you're his teammate, what are you going to do differently with your game to step up, be more physical, be more aggressive? And you're not seeing that from a single individual. Even Buddy Hield, for example, it's we saw this small streak of him in this effort of doing everything else when his shot wasn't falling. And then all of a sudden you're not seeing that. I just think these guys are not staying consistent long enough. 2 weeks is not consistency.
Well, the other problem too is when guys are down, who do you have to play? Bielitsa?
Yeah.
Whiteside? Joseph? We're not talking about great defensive players here. These guys are kind of slow. They get beat at times. And I know Whiteside had the monster game stat-wise, 26, 15, and 5. But did you feel that 26, 15, and 5?
No, not at all.
It was just,
not at all.
He got his numbers, and he has moments where he does some nice things defensively. Don't get me wrong. But more times than not, when you're taking on these teams that play with pace, get you in pick and rolls, and you got Bielitsa and Whiteside out there, good luck stopping anyone. You could try your ass off and show you max effort. It's not going to matter.
Yeah. No, I was telling Damian that even on Friday, I know they're playing the Magic, but the Kings are not good enough to be down 2 starters. They're not good enough. They're not deep enough. Right. So I don't care if it was the Magic, the Sixers, the Pistons, it don't matter. They go down 2 starters. They got a long road ahead of them that particular night. And that's what worries me about tonight, because I think there's the guys that can step up, but still you can't do anything about the lack of depth that they have.
Yeah. They're not winning tonight, Kenny. Don't get it twisted.
Hold on. Let's hold on. This is the difference that I made between Friday and tonight. There could have been a situation where I mean, we were doing the pregame show and we didn't know until about 5 minutes before the show ended who was playing. Like if Fox was playing, Bagley wasn't. So whoever that starting lighting was, just kind of thrown out there, maybe unprepared. In this particular situation, Luke mentioned it yesterday, you got about 24 hours. So if you're Marvin Bagley, if you're Tyrese Halliburton, all right, you've been locked in for about a day of like, all right, we're going to be down, one player, two player, whatever the case may be, I'm going to step it up here. Or Luke has even more time to, all right, this is how the rotations are going to be because of this. That's the only thing I can grasp at, but look,
no, I appreciate your optimism, Kenny. I really do because I do. I think you're optimistic all the time, and sometimes I'm like you're crazy, and then there's other times where I'm like no, I get you, and I feel you with that because I think sometimes that it allows players to mentally build up that little bit of time to be like, okay, I am the next guy up. So what the hell do I have to do when I'm out there? And that's literally just going hard 100% while you're out there the entire time, kind of testing the refs, seeing how physical you can get, especially with this Miami team who's going to be cutting every single offensive possession, just slashing through the paint on you. So you're going to have to check guys. You're going to have to be physical and see what the refs are going to give you.
Yeah, and then you have to deal with Bam Adebayo, who's defending him.
You don't think they have a shot tonight? Does anybody? Is it just they roll over, or is somebody going to step up in the absence of Richaun Holmes and Harrison Barnes tonight?
It's a tough matchup, man. I just think Miami, I know their record's not great. They're 11-17, but they have used 16 different starting lineups this year in 28 games. Think about that. 16. I think 14 of their players have missed at least one game this year. So people are freaking out about them a little bit, though they should be fine if they can actually get healthy. Dragic is still out. Avery Bradley is still out. I just think it's a tough matchup because the Kings have problems with bigs. Well, Bam Adebayo is one of the most skilled bigs in the NBA, like a 20-10-5 guy, and he can carve the team up. So, yeah, it's going to take a big-time effort. You're going to maybe Daquan Jeffries in an expanded role can do something against the squad. Maybe he can D up Butler and make life difficult because he's got the length. But I just think it's a tough challenge. They're pretty shorthanded right now.
In watching them against the Warriors last night, which ended up being a fantastic game at the end of the game, Warriors end up getting the win. But it was interesting seeing that matchup because I looked at the Warriors going, okay, they're smaller. They're without Looney. They're without Wiseman. They have that smaller lineup, kind of like the Sacramento Kings, even though the Kings have, Holmes, they have Bagley, but still Bam Adebayo is just a big human. In the way that these guys move and cut without the ball, it doesn't matter what size they are. They find a way to clear space around the rim. So the Warriors are also a bad defensive team, but they picked it up at the end. They were facing that adversity. They picked it up at the end. Steph Curry hit a few incredible shots, where he wasn't hitting anything in the beginning of the game. So can the Sacramento Kings have one of those guys?
Yeah, maybe it's like, I guess to your point, like who stepped up for the Warriors last night? It was Bazemore. Bazemore played his ass off, right? You had
former Sacramento King legend.
Oh God, I like Bazemore.
Yeah.
But can Glenn Robinson have a game? We really haven't seen much from Glenn Robinson this year, right? Like, could he have a game where he drops 15 points for you? Who else can be that? I just think it's really tough. I think Miami, they're trying to snap a skid. They're trying to get things going, and they're looking at Sacramento as a get-right game.
And they probably are, but at the same time, I look at Miami. I see you talk about a bad matchup. I don't think Miami's that good right now, and they have no answer for De'Aaron Fox, and they have no real rim protection outside of Bam. So De'Aaron Fox, just like he did when they were in Miami, he's going to be able to get in the paint and do what he wants with little resistance. And Marvin Bagley, before Luke Walton said, no, you're not going to have the best game of your career, he looked like he was on his way to having the best game of his career in that game. What was he, 17 points, 7 and 8 from the field? He didn't have much of a problem with Bam Adebayo. If you can get him in extended minutes to have that same type of performance, get anything from Buddy Hield, Tyrese Halliburton, hey, I don't look at Miami as the defending Eastern Conference champions, if that makes any sense. Like, that's what they literally are, but they're not that good. Even with
they may not be that good right now. I just think their record's a little misleading because of what I just mentioned, how many starting lineups they've had to use. And yeah, I think the spacing could be off tonight. I mean, I don't know who they're starting. Are they going to throw Corey Joseph in the starting lineup again? Is Jeffries going to start at the 4 and place like a Harrison Barnes and then Bagley at the 5? Spacing could be an issue at times, which that obviously changes things for De'Aaron big time when there's not a lot of spacing on the floor. So it's a challenge, man. Miami, for I think last 10 games, I think they're top 10 defensive rating too. So they may not be clicking totally right now, but they can wreak havoc on you.
They're disciplined, and they play as a complete unit for the most part, even with the amount of starting lineups that they've had. And that goes to, you know, obviously their system and their culture and everything. But that's scary when you've seen a Sacramento Kings team that hasn't been disciplined, that hasn't had that fire in a few games now. So can the Kings come out and have a different type of attitude, a different kind of vibe? Hopefully.
Deuce Mason, Morgan Reagan, the Deuce and Mo podcast, available on the radio.com app or wherever you get podcasts from. Just search Be Heard, and all of the Be Heard podcasts will pop up, including the Deuce and Mo podcast and the newest episode of J Street Vibes with Kenny Caraway and Jason Jones.
You know the
we
vibes.
encourage you to check that out. So it's a rare Thursday night game. There's really not an NBA schedule to run over. We will, and some things have adjusted with BetQL. We'll have that. We need to talk a little bit about the Miami Heat as well and what they did last night against the Golden State Warriors. Plus, you'll hear from Luke Walton. If you want to watch the final 30 minutes of the show, you can, and it is 30 legit minutes. We don't go anywhere during the commercial break. We stay with you. That's twitch.tv/ESPN1320 or on the ESPN 1320 YouTube channel. Of course, you can listen on the radio.com app and on ESPN 1320 AM. We're coming back with more. Getting you ready. Your final stretch before tip-off here. It's Courtside with D'Lo and KC on Sacramento's #1 sports station, ESPN 1320.
Yes, sir.
Oh, man. I was getting bored with that screen up. I was like, man, this is stupid. Like, we just sitting here. We got the live stream on. We got to figure out something more entertaining to do. So I'm looking around like, man, all right, show some books. And then Kenny's over there scrolling. It's like, oh, Kenny want to read stuff now Kenny want to read something on his phone all of a sudden.
Well, they have this thread of all Meek Mill's and embarrassing moments. And man,
geez.
Meek didn't have some moments.
Meek Mill dropped a bar that
not a good one.
People off. I said, yeah, I was
good
like,
one.
Wait a minute, what is this? And he said something about a chopper and going out like Kobe. He was like,
come on, man.
It ain't that time, bro.
Meek.
It is not that time. Don't do that.
Better.
Yeah, not a good look. I love Meek too, man. But
I do. Meek is my guy, but
yeah, you can't do that.
Nah, erase that one from your catalog, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a new joint too. It's like, oh man, come on.
KC, who's better, Wayne or Thugger? I mean, Wayne is clearly better for a career, but I like Thugger. I like Thugger a lot. But Wayne's better. Come on now.
Maga Wayne.
Yeah, it hurt me to say that he's better because I'm not even a big Lil Wayne guy like that.
Oh, the game 916 at Antelope High School, waiting on his son's workout to finish up. He was having
shout out Antelope.
He was having some D-Lo internet issues out there trying to watch us with just mad buffering screen.
Who knows what happens at Antelope, man? I'm telling you this, but I will say this: Antelope High School. Oh my goodness, that is a college campus. That place is nice. Yes, okay, super nice. I don't know. 916, tell us, how long has that been open? It looks like it hasn't been open too long, like remodeled or whatever. It had to be 5 or less years. That place is nice. It's a lot better than their Home Depot.
Ah, yes. Kenny's trip to Antelope. Was that the only place that had the 2x4 that you needed? Like, why were you all the way in Antelope for?
We went to go pick up a. Oh, okay. So it's been about more than 10 years, but it looks really nice and it's huge. But I was in Antelope getting a wine fridge.
Okay. Oh, look at you. Sometimes I dream that he is me. You got to see this, how I dream to be.
I had to get the wine fridge, and typically I would go down the street, somebody Laguna, Home Depot, and they didn't have it, and they didn't have it in Meadowview, and then they didn't have it on Florin Road. The only one was in Antelope, so made a trip out there, and it was an experience.
Okay, all right, yeah. I don't have a wine fridge though. I'm kind of mad.
Okay, so look, Bruce, check this out. Bryce, check this out. Folsom High is a college. However, has anybody been to Vista del Lago? That place is crazy. It's in Folsom too.
Oh, okay. Oh,
it's a high school out there.
That's legit. Yeah.
My goodness. That's out there looking better than Consumnes River College.
Leezy's asking if I still pick a whole album to listen to during workouts. Not so much. If I can find one, because I have to really restrict my workouts. Like I got 60 minutes. I got to get in and get out. Sometimes I do that on the weekends. I did that with Prince over the weekend. Heat getting a lot of pub here on ESPN 1320 as we've got the Lakers and the Heat coming up for you this weekend as they just kind of make their way all through California with the Golden State Warriors last night and, of course, the Sacramento Kings tonight at the Golden One Center. Normally, at this time, we do a big look across the National Basketball Association, but it's a rare Thursday night game for the Sacramento Kings, and normally there's only 2 to 4 games. Tonight, there's 3. Raptors and Bucks are on right now, 80-66. The Raptors lead the Milwaukee Bucks in that one. Norman Powell leading the way with 24 points. Giannis Antetokounmpo with 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. There's a minute 25 left in the third quarter of that one. And then at the same time as the Heat and the Kings will be the Nets and the Lakers. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Kyrie is a go. KD is not.
KD's out for sure. I know Kyrie earlier was probable, but maybe you heard that, he's in there.
I'll give a double check here, but I think so.
Real quick, back to that score that you mentioned. I think it'd be 5 losses in a row for Milwaukee if they lost this one in Toronto.
Hey, we can relate, guys.
Yeah, well, look, we're on our way to the playoffs. We're on our way to, the second round of the playoffs here. We got the same strange struggles as the Milwaukee Bucks, so we good.
This is a De'Aaron Fox MVP situation, back-to-back MVP situation. If we're in the same category as the Milwaukee Bucks, I guess we should mention the All-Star starters were announced today. The Eastern Conference, Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Bradley Beal, the game's leading scorer, and Kyrie Irving, who is available tonight for the Brooklyn Nets. The Western Conference, Steph Curry, he's having just a phenomenal season. Luka Doncic, kind of in the middle. LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, and Kawhi Leonard, your starters for the Western Conference.
I'm not going to go too ham on it, you know what I mean? Because it's the All-Star game, and it's not like Luka doesn't deserve to be an All-Star, but I think Dame Lillard should have gotten that. I know they went through votes and all this other stuff, tiebreakers, but I wouldn't have voted Luka over Dame if I was any of those guys that did.
Luka got in, I guess, on a technicality. I mean, how a tie? Like, how's there a tie in All-Star voting?
Yeah.
But Luka made it. Dame obviously will be an All-Star. He just won't be a starter. And then they're going to do it has a Elam ending, I think it's called. Like we call it the Kobe Bryant ending.
Yeah. Shout out to the basketball tournament. Let's go.
I like that, man. That's fun, and it's a great way. It creates an interesting game, as we saw last year, and it's a great tribute, I think, to Kobe Bryant. It's fun.
Damian, the Elam ending is actually perfect. Like for a long time, like not a long time, but I was always, this isn't, what I grew up with. You got a clock. It doesn't feel, I was looking to poke holes, and there are no holes. The Elam ending is perfect. It gives you competition. It still gives you like a game-ending bucket. It gives you an opportunity for a comeback still. It shortens up the length of the game more times than not. It's perfect. I don't know if they'll ever go to it in the NBA, but the Elam ending is there's zero negatives.
Oh, you don't need to go to that in the NBA. Not on a 48-minute game. You don't need to do that. But for an All-Star game, like I'm good with that. That's fun.
I don't know why not.
Why would you? Like, you got a 48-minute game. You play 48 minutes. What are you talking about?
I mean, look, I'm a guy that reads the paper, so I'm fine with tradition and old school,
this
right?
is accurate. He is. What Kenny meant to say there is he's the guy that reads the paper. The one, that's him. That's KC.
So look, I have no problem with
His
just keeping
subscription
it.
number at the B is 1.
That's right. I'm keeping them going. I have no problem with them keeping the same 48 minutes, but I mean, it just I don't even want to say read up on it, because who's going to go read up on the Elam ending? But it's flawless. Like, somebody that makes the argument that they should do this instead of the clock. The person who's arguing for the clock, I don't know if you have a rebuttal other than this is how we've always done it. That's literally the only rebuttal. The Elam ending squashes it all.
But wouldn't it also like change the record books and different things like that?
Maybe.
This feels like a 12-2 conversation. Let's revisit this tomorrow. Let's bring this back tomorrow, because I got some more. I'm gonna do some research during the commercial breaks of the Kings game. I realized you're talking about Richaun Holmes and Harrison Barnes being out tonight. Harrison Barnes doesn't miss games.
Mm-mm.
Like, think, and Luke talked about this. This began, I think he said, with Memphis. That's the second, Orlando, Memphis, Brooklyn. So it began in the second game, and he played through it obviously against Memphis. He played through it in the Brooklyn game, and we all saw it. We were like, gosh, man, Harrison was the kind of foundation. He was the guy kind of holding everything together, and we just saw massive struggles. I think he was averaging single digits through the 3 games that they played over the weekend, and he's got to be in some discomfort. Now, Luke did say today he expects Richaun and Harrison Barnes to be back very soon. Like, this isn't a long-term thing. But man, for Harrison Barnes to actually miss a game, something that doesn't happen very often, I got to imagine he's either in a good deal of discomfort, or the Kings are a little bit worried about what's going on with his foot.
Yeah, and it explains his play, as of late.
Yeah, most definitely.
Where I know Harrison's not 20 a game or anything like that, for his career. He was going to come down a little bit, but he doesn't just fall off a cliff like he did, especially the way he was playing. Like, he was playing, in my opinion, a little different than he had played in previous seasons. Mm-hmm. He was attacking the basket more. He wasn't relying as much on the 3-point shot. And that just all went away, for 2 games, and it looked different. So it kind of explains why his game changed a little bit in these last few games. Mm-hmm. And hopefully it's something that he can get back from relatively soon.
And a quick update on Richaun Holmes. He did try to go today, despite the fact that he was ruled out. He was on the court. He was warming up. He was working out with trainers. But he is officially out for today's game. Again, that's not even remotely surprising unless you knew he was on the floor. We knew he was on the floor. He was trying to get loose. But when Luke Walton spoke, and you'll hear what he had to say in just a couple of minutes, he didn't have any optimism really that Richaun Holmes was going to play, but he was pleased that he was out there able to get loose, go through a workout. But he will not play tonight, as Harrison Barnes will not. And BetQL is aware of all of this. They've got the Miami Heat favored by 1.
Okay.
They got the Heat favored by 1 tonight with an over-under at 226. And they've got the money line down as this is one you should jump in on. Go with the underdog here if you're a bettor. BetQL thinks that you should get in on this a little bit.
I look at that, and some people would say, it means like they think the Heat are going to win. That actually shows me they're not very confident in the Heat tonight.
Yeah. No, 100%.
If the Kings have, these guys out and, the Heat are so superior, as Deuce Mason would like to say, you would think it would be a bigger line, but BetQL doesn't see it that way. They say this is pretty close to an even matchup, and the Heat can win, obviously, but I don't know. Maybe you don't want to put your money on this one. Deuce already did put some coffee on it, though.
He did put some coffee on it. You put a milkshake on it. Get more information before you place your bets. Check out BetQL.com, an awesome website that uses data and simulations to help you be a better. Bet smarter and bet the books. Download the BetQL app today or visit BetQL.com. As we mentioned just moments ago, KC, the Miami Heat did play that last night as they're making their way through California. It wasn't the most entertaining game in the world until it was. It got a lot of fun there in the fourth quarter. The Golden State Warriors wound up taking them to overtime, and the Heat walked away with an L. They're still trying to You heard our conversation with Deuce Mason and Morgan Reagan just a moment ago, and Deuce was talking about the 16 different lineups that the Miami Heat have had throughout this season. They're 11-17. They're kind of in the same place that they were the first time these two teams played. Like we kept talking about, like Miami, they haven't found that groove yet. They haven't found their groove yet. And I know you said earlier that this doesn't. They're the Eastern Conference champions in name, but they do not feel like the Eastern Conference champions. They feel, they still have the same discipline of a Miami Heat team, of an Eric Spoelstra-led team. It just feels like they're coming up short. And last night is a great example of the way that their season has gone, with the Golden State Warriors scoring 29 points in the fourth quarter after scoring 30 in the third.
Yeah, and let's be real. Let's be honest with ourselves. Last year in the bubble, they played over their head. That was not who I think the Heat are. That doesn't mean they're a bad team. That doesn't mean they're not a playoff team. Hell, in some situations, that doesn't mean they're not a contender. Yeah. But I never thought, if the season would have continued the way it was supposed to before the pandemic, that the Miami Heat would have made the NBA Finals. Yeah. Simple as that. And they got in the bubble. They got a groove going. They got on a roll, and they're playing well. Now, I also don't think that they're 11-17. I don't think they're like that bad of a team. But people talk about, they've been injured, and once they get their people back, they'll bring it back. Not so fast, my friend. I don't know how much they'll bring it back. They're not very big. They got Bam, and Bam plays center a lot for them. But I look at Bam almost like I look at Marvin Bagley. You try to stick him at center and this new NBA and all this other stuff. They're really power forwards to me, and they're playing a little bit out of position when you ask them to play center. Outside of Dragic, who is hurt, they don't really have a ball handler and somebody that can run the point for him. Jimmy ends up running the point a lot of the time, and he does it, but that's not where he excels, and that's not what's going to make them a good team. So they have holes. And I look at them tonight against the Sacramento Kings, and the Kings have a couple of areas where they may be able to exploit some of them holes.
Damian Barling and Lee Corso Caraway here with you on Courtside with D'Lo and KC on the twitch.tv/ESPN 1320 on the ESPN 1320 YouTube channel, and of course on 1320 AM here in Sacramento. Just another one quick note before we get to Luke Walton and what he had to say. Jimmy Butler, 41 minutes last night. Bam Adebayo, 34 minutes last night. Kendrick Nunn, 41 minutes last night. Duncan Robinson, 40 minutes last night. Tyler Hero, 39 minutes last night against the Golden State Warriors.
And look, they're not very deep, so they're probably going to run that type of minutes, that amount of minutes back out there.
Are we talking about the Kings or the Heat? Because I feel like we're using a lot of the same language with these two teams right now.
They're not far off, I'll tell you that.
Only one of them was in the conference championship last year. I feel like a lot of people benefited from that bubble.
Absolutely.
A lot of players. And a lot of teams, and perhaps none more than the Miami Heat did. Luke Walton was at the podium just a little bit over an hour ago. I say at the podium. I don't know why. He was in front of a Zoom camera.
He was at a podium, wasn't he?
I think he was at like a fold-out table with a banner behind him.
Sounds like a podium to me.
Man, maybe that's what it is. He was asking, where he'll go tonight with so many guys out.
Yeah, well, we're going to need everybody. Everyone that's over there is going to get a chance today. Richaun, he's still most likely out, and he does want to give it one last chance. He's been getting treatment all day. He says he feels a little better, so he's out on the court, right? One of the courts right now doing a little activation. I'd be surprised if he's able to go, but he's a tough young man, so we'll see how that comes back, but. Besides, that look, we're going to need contributions from everybody, and we're going to play, we'll play everyone we have and looking for rhythm and giving ourselves the best chance that we can.
Again, this was about 90 minutes ago or so. Richaun Holmes has officially been ruled out. He will not play tonight. A lot of people have asked about, Jamias Ramsey, Robert Woodard, like what's the status of those guys? Luke Walton was able to get a little bit of clarity on their availability.
They didn't have a specific answer when we sent them out there, other than they were working with this exact scenario. And it was going to be, normally when you are leaving market, you have to come back and get 6 straight negative tests before you're allowed to re-enter. with a team. You know, that goes for whoever is leaving for whatever reason. They were trying to change, you know, be able to speed it up a little bit. But for right now, we're going to stick with it. You know, we feel like we're going to have Harrison and Richaun back very soon. So we're going to stick with giving them the experience out there in the G League as opposed to trying to pull them out. They get here, Harrison and Richaun are back. Now we send them back to the bubble and then they're waiting, you know what I mean? So for now, we're going to stick with, you know, the guys we have and the guys that have been with us all year and practicing, and let those young rookies continue to develop in the bubble.
Certainly not as easy as telling a Stockton King, like, hey, we're going to need you tonight. You're probably already in the city of Sacramento. Come over to the arena. Let's go. Times are a little bit different here in 2021. But one thing that is the same is Bam Adebayo, and he is a difficult guy to guard.
Yeah, Bam does. He presents a lot of challenges for your defense, and you know, they got a lot of shooting out there that they keep spaced, and they allow him to make from the elbow. And then there's Jimmy Butler, who you know, he kind of had his way with us last game. Last time we played them, so we gotta do a much better job with him and trying to keep him out of the paint and off the free throw line. So, yeah, again, we're looking at some different things. Corey's been great the last couple games. He's played really well, but we're looking at some different things, and as far as rotations and starting lineups are concerned.
KC, Bam Adebayo last night, 34 minutes, 10 of 16 from the field, 5 rebounds, 7 assists to go along with his 24 points. The first time that the Miami Heat and the Sacramento Kings played, Bam Adebayo, 36 minutes, 7-11 from the field, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, and 18 points. Bam, as the kids like to say on Twitter, is a problem.
No, he's definitely a problem. Definitely a problem. And I expect nothing less from him again tonight. I think he's going to have a good game. There's not a lot of resistance inside for him, unless you count Hassan Whiteside getting in there and being a big body, but he can't move the way Bam can. So maybe Bam can use his speed and quickness and his young legs to overcome the size of Hassan Whiteside. So I'm fully expecting Bam to be a part of a big night tonight for himself, at least.
And Jimmy Butler's a problem too. And Luke Walton knows they've got to find a way to keep him off of the free throw line.
Well, I mean, the game plan is to do what we can to keep him out of the paint, to gap him, to go under. You know, you try to take away his right hand and you try to keep him out of the paint. It's a lot easier to say that than to actually do it. That's what every team's game plan is. And you know, he's a heck of a player. He's an all-star for a reason. And it's, you know, we have to make life hard on him. And we're gonna have, like I said, especially without Harrison out there, you're gonna see Corey on him at times. You're gonna see Glenn on him at times. You're gonna see Daquan, Marvin. So we're gonna have, you know, it's gonna be, you know, everyone we have being thrown his way, and we gotta do a job and be disciplined and keep him off the line.
And he knows it's quite the task at hand. And he was asked how do you want to see this team respond after a rough week? Not only 4 straight losses, but you saw Metu go down. You've probably heard the criticism about the way the team responded. You've had De'Aaron Fox in and out of the lineup, Marvin Bagley in and out of the lineup, Richaun Holmes in and out of the lineup, and now Harrison Barnes as well. He was asked how he wants to see his team respond tonight.
Yeah, most importantly, I just want to see us play extremely hard. That's going to be the only way we have a chance, and it's the only way that's really acceptable for us to be playing. And I've said it, you know, I feel like we've done that for a lot of this season, but more, you know, it's got to be part of our DNA and our makeup that no matter who we have or who we're playing against, we play extremely hard. We compete at an extremely high level, and then you got to live with the outcome. And, you know, that's what I'm looking to see tonight in our last home game before we hit the road again.
Something he hasn't seen a lot over the last few days, KC, is over the last few games, I should say, to be more specific. It felt like they didn't have it against Orlando. It felt like it got worse against Memphis. And, we kind of knew what the Brooklyn game was going to be. Like, I think we all anticipated a lot of points being scored. I think we knew that Brooklyn wasn't going to play a tough style of defense, and the Kings certainly weren't going to set the tone defensively in that game, and they were going to try to run. And ultimately, that's what we saw. But Brooklyn, as was Memphis, as was Orlando, they were in firm control of that game the entire time.
They got to be ready to compete. They've got to be, and Miami is the type of team where if you're not ready to compete, they will walk over you. I don't care what the record looks like. I don't care what the talent is on the roster. The culture, right? They are physical. They are tough. They are disciplined. And if you come in there weak, they will run over you. So I need the Kings to match their level of physicality, match their level of toughness, both physically and mentally. All right, they've got to be ready. They got to be ready to fight tonight. And I don't mean that in the way I've been talking all week. I'm talking about fight to win this game. This can get real grimy. They got to be ready for that.
Let's be real. Listening to Luke Walton is fine. Talking about what we've seen over the last few games is fine. But if the Sacramento Kings really want to get a dub tonight, this is what it boils down to. We do it before every weekday game here on Courtside. Kenny's keys to a Kings victory. Kings are staring at a season-long 5-game losing streak. KC, what do they got to do to prevent that from happening?
All right, man. Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. It's pretty simple. I just need them to follow these basic instructions, okay? Number one, like Ashanti once said one time, rain on me. Rain threes here for the Sacramento Kings tonight. Now, look here, the Miami Heat. They end up playing a little more zone than most teams do because they figure, these teams are still going to jack up threes and they're going to play the percentages. Well, the Kings can't be afraid. They don't want to. It's a fine line. You don't want to fall into that trap, but you also don't want to be afraid to shoot them open threes. And when you got the open threes, you got to knock them down. They went 17 of 45 in the first matchup between these two. I thought about saying maybe upping it a little bit, maybe lowering it, but no, 17 seems about right. If the Kings can knock down 17 threes again tonight, they'll get the W. I'm going to say that right now. They'll get the W. Next, this is kind of a contradiction, but follow me here. I need them to win the points in the paint. Now, I think Miami plays a lot of zone sometimes to make sure that they can protect the paint because they're not overly big inside, and they're playing those percentages. Between Bagley, Whiteside, and Fox, I think you can get in there and win the battle of the paint. Last game, they were even 42 and 42. But when you talk about guys who weren't there, Richaun Holmes only had 4 points in the paint. So it's not like you're missing a whole lot from what he gave you. And Whiteside had 9. He can improve on that. Harrison Barnes had 11. He had 11 on the night. I don't think he had 11 in the paint. But if they can find a way to beat them at points in the paint, I think not only are you getting the high percentage shots, but you're taking away what the Heat want to take away from you, which is your ability to score inside. Yep. So let's win the points in the paint. Let's do that. Last but not least, this one doesn't have a metric on it. It doesn't have a number on it. Simply, I need somebody to step up. I said earlier it might be Marvin Bagley. It still could be him, but it might be tough when you talk about a minutes restriction. So now I'm looking at number 24. Buddy Hield, go crazy. Chris Brown, Young Thug, go crazy. All right, Buddy Hield, I need it tonight, baby. Somebody's got to step up tonight. Buddy, Corey, Jabari, Nemanja, I don't care.
Anybody with a Kings jersey on.
Somebody, let's go. So rain the threes down, win the points in the paint, and somebody step up tonight to end this losing streak. Let's go, Kings.
And that's really what this all boils down to, man. The Kings are going to be without Harrison Barnes. They're going to be without Richaun Holmes. They have Marvin Bagley. He is going to start tonight. He is on a minutes restriction. We don't know what that minute total is. But he played 21 minutes the other night against Brooklyn, so we'll see what that winds up being. We're probably going to see a heavy dose of Hassan Whiteside. I imagine we're going to see quite a bit of Tyrese Halliburton. You're going to see some guys maybe that you haven't seen. Maybe we haven't mentioned Jabari Parker yet today. Maybe we get some Jabari Parker run here.
Yes.
I'm not really sure. Maybe we get some Glenn Robinson. Neither one of those guys even played the first time these two teams went against each other. So the Kings are going to have to find some heart here. They're going to, I don't know if you take a trip to the Wizard with Dorothy and the Lion or what you do here, but you've got to find some heart.
Yes.
if they're going to want to get this dub, man. So we appreciate you all so much for being here with us. We appreciate you for tuning in. Twitch TV, twitch.tv/ESPN1320. Make sure you follow us there. Make sure you subscribe to the ESPN 1320 YouTube channel. And make sure that you check back with us. We'll recap everything tomorrow at noon here on Sacramento's #1 sports station, ESPN 1320.
Let's go, Kings.
All right. Thanks, Charlie. We're going to wrap up this chat, man. Great talking to you. We'll check in with you soon. Okay, man.
Take care, Charlie.
Bye-bye. All right. I know everybody wants to go watch this game. What I had to move the comments because I had to get that post up. Just want to see if anybody making fun of Kenny before we get out of here. Okay. All right. I think I got to pod you up there. We good, KC?
We good. We good. I'm good.
Okay. I know you got Casey got to go get that Peloton life, man. Go get that done.
Peloton. Real quick. And a lot going on. I'm gonna be there. We going with the vibes after the game.
Okay. Post game vibes right here. You know what it is. YouTube and Twitch.
Yes, indeed.
Post game vibes.
Yes,
we'll have it on Periscope as well, man. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. Some of y'all hung out twice, man. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
Post game vibes. Hopefully it's a happy post game vibes, man.
It will be.
Okay. I'm with it. We appreciate y'all, man. Thank you.